Welcome to Artlords Podcast. We love digital arts and we wish to help the world appreciate digital artists. For our very first podcast, here is the incredible, the amazing Andy TImm from Hi-Rez Interactive, right? You work for them, isn't that so, Andy?
Yeah. So I'm going on my fifth year now. They're actually my very first art studio I've ever worked at. I started out before that. I was freelancing for them for about like 5 or 6 months, and then they asked if I wanted to come in and do concept artwork, which I totally said yes for. And prior to that, I was working at a grocery store, Trader Joe's. I was doing the sign art for about 7 years. But yeah, I'm really stoked with the job at Hi-Rez. Very blessed, and I'm lucky that they offered me work. So yeah.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. Actually, I didn't know about that. Speaking of not knowing things about Andy TImm, today is all about he and his art, and we're going to start with a simple question, but I'm sure it's going to be interesting because that story I didn't know. The first question is, please, Andy TImm, give us a brief introduction to you and your work.
Oh yeah. I'm Andy. I'm just recently turned 37 a few weeks ago. I got my art start career fairly late. I went to college to be an artist. I decided that when I was about 21, and then I graduated at 25, and I couldn't get any work, so I kind of gave up doing art, and I focused on music. So I played in a death metal band for about 14 years while I worked at the grocery store for 7 years. And it wasn't until I met, my now wife, but then I met her, and once we got engaged, I decided I should probably try and, give art another shot. I wanted to be more than, not that there's anything wrong with working at a grocery store, but I just wanted to be more than that as a husband to her. So I thought, hey, let's try, really giving this art career another shot. And I watched a bunch of YouTube videos and took initiative and went out and talked to a bunch of people and learned a bunch of stuff and grinded and pretty much worked every single day for a couple years. And then Hi-Rez picked me up. So luckily it didn't take too long. I know a lot of other people, it can take much longer than that. So I'm very blessed, and it could have gone certainly sideways very easily, but it didn't. And I was prepared to. Before I got the job at Hi-Rez, I was close to being homeless. So
Wow.
because I quit my grocery store job because I just couldn't take on all the work that I was getting freelance wise. So I bit the bullet. Decided screw healthcare and a steady job. Let's gamble and see if this works out. And thankfully, I was almost homeless only for like 2 months. So before Hi-Rez decided to hire me.
Wow,
Yeah.
you really put everything in that. I really didn't know about this story. Jeez, that's incredible, actually. You really did your best there because most people that I need to provide for my family, I'm not sure if art's the first thing they go for.
Yeah, it's it's hard. It's like I was kind of spinning my wheels, working at the grocery store, and I knew I don't know why. I just felt I really should give this another go, art another go. I just felt like I needed to do it. I don't know why. It probably wasn't the most stable career choice, but I threw all my eggs into that basket, and I essentially became a much harder worker, just in life, and became a lot more responsible within doing that, personally. So I don't know. It only made me develop in a more positive manner, I guess, and made me much more aware and much less entitled. I used to be pretty entitled before that, and going through the hard work of pursuing the art career job, really grinding for it. I learned a lot in it.
Yeah, it's really inspiring, right? It's so much inspiring that I want to pivot that to the next question, right? Because that's a really a touching life story, and
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's touching, right? You put, like you said, you put all your eggs on the basket and you made it work. But I want to go deeper about that, right? Because
Sure.
for you to do this, something must have inspired you to create art in the first place, right? What inspires you to create art in general, to the point that you would gamble things up to make your life even better?
Uh, a couple things. The Ninja Turtles. When they came out, I was like, that's, it's like the coolest thing in the world to me. And also, I wasn't good at anything else. I was not really like the smartest kid in school, and I was pretty good at music. But it's at least to me, it's way more difficult to make a steady income living off playing music. Yeah, so that's why I chose art. I thought, well, it's the one thing that I'm better at it than all the other stuff, and I really enjoy doing it, and it helps. I had a rough childhood, and so it helped me escape from all the perils of the awful things I had to deal with.
Yeah, I just want to make a passing comment about the Ninja Turtles thing. I actually know two other artists, professional artists, that also claim that Ninja Turtles was their inspiration. So yeah, that's interesting, right? I'm so sorry because you told so many important and touchy things, and I'm focused on the Ninja Turtles crap. I'm so
No,
sorry.
I mean, they're huge. They're I mean, that's probably like 80% of what I was drawing. This was Ninja Turtles. They were just the coolest thing ever. Like when I
I
was a
don't
kid.
disagree. I don't disagree. There's another question coming right up that I think you already answered it, but it's gonna be fun to revisit it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Since we're still talking about your art pieces, can you tell us a bit about the process of creating such art pieces? Just a bit.
Oh, I mean, just any piece in particular. Just grab a random one
Yeah,
that I did.
actually, I'm gonna direct you to the prints. Ah, yes, we have some
Oh,
prints
yes.
for you. The ones that we are trying to showcase the world this time around is the Bane versus Venom and the Thanos versus Darkseid, right? So
Yes.
since they are similar, you can even tell if there was like some similarity in the process you used to create them, or
Oh, yeah.
take the stage, please. How yours?
Um, so with the Bane versus Venom, I did that one when I was grinding art. That was like right when I started getting back into digital art. Giving it another shot, and that was shortly after I'd seen the Dark Knight Rises movie, and I thought like even though the villain, Tom Hardy's villain, was nothing at all like the comic book villain, he was still a really cool villain on his own. And so I just started thinking like, what if like Bane was like arm wrestling Venom, because Bane uses Venom to get his strength, and then I can call it wrestling addiction. Like he's wrestling his addiction to Venom, the serum that makes him strong.
Wow.
It's like a corny idea, like a super corny idea, but I wanted to run with that, and so at first it was just going to be them two, and then my friend said you should put some other superheroes in it, and so I sketched out just other superheroes just as a collage in the background, and they said seemed kind of weird. You should probably put them in like some kind of setting, like a bar or something. So I did that, and it was originally with the movie, all movie costumes. I was really into the movies at that time. I loved the comics, don't get me wrong, but I really liked the movies at that point, and even though I wasn't good enough back then, I wanted to make like a movie scene, like what if this happened in a movie. Unfortunately, it wasn't good enough to do that back then, but that was my goal. But so when I posted the movie versions, there was a lot of angry people. I mean, respectfully so. A lot of people really liked the comic book versions, so I challenged myself to go back and then sort of do a version of the comic book one, like all the comic book costumes and whatnot. But then when I was doing that, I'm like, well, let me go back and like see what was wrong with this piece, like all the fundamental errors that I had made, because I had done it originally in 2 weeks, and I thought, let me take my time and really try and focus on where I was at, with my skill level, and try and really improve upon what I had done. And when I did that, I think that's when the piece
Came together.
got a lot more popular. So yeah. And then with the Thanos versus Darkseid, I did that recently. What I originally wanted to do was that was 2013 Bane versus Venom, so it's been almost like 6 years. Yeah, I started actually last year. I wanted to see, okay, how much have I improved? Like, what can I take this Bane versus Venom, redo it using all my experience working in the industry and all the awesome artists that I've talked to and learned from, like really challenge myself to make something more and put more characters in it, really try and fix the perspective and all that stuff in there. So the original one was actually with Bane and Venom, not Thanos and Darkseid.
Yes.
It's the same thing. I just changed the two central characters. But then that was right when Endgame was coming out. So I thought, hey, maybe to get some more followers or whatever, what have you know. I decided to throw in Thanos and Darkseid as a variant at the last minute, and I think so that one got a lot more popular. I think because not only the movie came out, but everyone had already seen Bane versus Venom before, right? So it was kind of like a rehash of a movie. So I think that's why it did much better. But the reason why I did that was just to see how much I've improved and when I could take like an old idea and try and improve upon it. And it was really hard. It actually, I started that in 2018. And I worked on it on and off for like a whole year.
Ooh, so you put some time in it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't working for the whole year, but I mean, like I started it, like I sketched it out like a couple like weekends on a month, and then I got so scared of doing it because it was so hard. There was so much characters and perspective that I just stopped working on it for like 8 months. And then I came back to it in January of this year and really just plowed through it as best I could. And it took me, I think, gosh, what was it? March or April? I forget when I put it out, but yeah.
Wow, so I need to make this comment before I move on. I love the idea and the energy of the Bane versus Venom one because I, as a comic book fan as well, right, immediately got the reference of Bane struggling with Venom, right? I love that idea.
Thanks.
Yeah, it was great. It was like, wow, he really knows, right? But you are right to say that the Thanos versus Darkseid is much more technical, impressive, right? It's like you said, you can see the perspective. Personally, I love them both. If I could have them both in my room, I would. In fact, Ren should send me as payment, by the way. Hey, Ren, if you're reading this. Anyway.
Thank you. Yeah,
they are really good pieces, right? And you can see the evolution of an artist if put them side by side. But they are both still great. Because here's the thing about Andy TImm, folks. He is a hard worker. He started good, he just become better, alright? So, with that said, no, it's truth. I'm not a liar here. Okay, anyway, let's move on here because we have some time, but I want to release even more from you, okay? So, you seem passionate about these two pieces, but let me ask this. What is your favorite art? The one that you created, right? What was the favorite one that you made? That you thought, this is like, wow, I wish I could do a second one or as good as this one. Which one?
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it's a hard one, I know.
Yeah, I mean, because it's funny because, you know, like, I know a lot of artists probably relate to this. When you do something, you're like, oh my gosh, I hate it. It's terrible.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
But if I'm trying to be, like really objective, I know what I do isn't awful. So the one, like, when I finished it, when I was like, man, I can't believe I did that, probably the letter to Batman piece. And I know it's a parody off of the Cossacks painting by, I'm butchering his name probably, illustrator.
Yeah, don't ask me, my enunciation is even worse, so I can't help you there. I'm sorry. Please continue.
Yeah, it's like the reply of the Syrian Cossacks by illustrator. It's a Russian painting, but the original piece of artwork is amazing. It's got like all these dudes writing this silly letter that gosh, I don't know the exact history of it. I mean, I did, but it's been a while since I read up on it. But they're writing this silly letter. They're having a jolly good time. There's so many figures in it. And I thought, okay, I want to do a study of that, but then make it Batman villains because I don't know why. It just like these thoughts just randomly come to me. I just thought it makes sense if like it was Batman villains writing a letter to Batman. I don't know. It just just popped in.
Joker would do that, right? He would do that just to troll Batman. You know that, right?
Yeah. So that was my original idea. Was I was going to make the Joker writing it. But one of my friends said, you know what? I think it would be the Riddler writing it because he's the one that's always like doing the Riddler stuff, and maybe the Joker would be the guy, like telling him like, hey. So I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. So I ran with that, and that was super hard. I found out in the process that I actually couldn't have it exact like pose for pose as the original, just because it didn't work with some of the builds of the Batman villains I had. But I'm really happy with how it came out, and there's a lot of characters, and I don't know. Yeah, I had so much fun with that one. That was probably one of the most fun paintings I've ever done, and I hope it shows.
And yeah, it shows. My hunch was that this one would be your favorite one, because I think it's the one that it's so hard to do, and we're gonna link it, okay, on the podcast site whenever this goes up, right? We have an actual blog post relating your work because you posted the process, right? So we actually break down piece by piece and my read of how you did each piece, why you changed it. Now we know why you changed it. We were having trouble, right? I actually thought it was because you wanted to make the composition work with these different shapes of characters. It's kind of close, right, to what you did, right?
You're right. I wanted to make it work, and I originally had it matching, like pose for pose of the original painting, but it wasn't working with the characters, like the Batman characters I had chosen.
Yes. And if you listeners want to see the actual process of that piece and even buy the print, because that's you on sale, by the way, it's one of the better prints, might I say. If you're a Batman fan, you have to have this. I'm not kidding. You can check the link below that we're going to provide. It's really impressive piece. So much so, I knew exactly this would be the one you would pick. That's how good it was.
I'm predictable.
No, it's not that you're predictable. It's that piece is just that good, man. All right, let's move on here. I was going to ask you, what visual reference do you draw in your work, right? What artists or art is similar and inspires you to do it? You mentioned Ninja Turtle, but that was in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
This question is more like now. Do you look to what other artists are working with? Do you see a particular TV show? Or maybe there's something about that one animation that really makes you want to capture that on your still art?
Well, for the longest time, even up throughout college, my favorite artist was Greg Capullo. He was the guy that, it's funny, he could do Todd McFarlane's style better than Todd McFarlane.
Don't let Todd McFarlane hurt you.
Yeah. But I grew up heavily on comics. Like, I love comics. And so it's like Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, and Greg Capullo. Those were like the trifecta of who I pretty much wanted to be. And now I still love them, but I'm doing more painting stuff and less comic art stuff. And so who I look at a lot now is Dave Raposa is like one of my all-time favorites. Once I saw his Ninja Turtle arts, back when I was actually starting to get back into art again, to pursue a career, I thought it was like some 40-year-old dude painting it because it looked so damn good. But he gets this like visceral realism in it, but with like somewhat exaggerated features in his work that I really like, and I try to capture. I don't know. I really like when it kind of looks real, but it's a little fantastical. I don't know if I can explain that right, but I respect, good cartoonists and like the Pixar style. There's a lot of hard work that goes into that, but what I'm really attracted to and I love creating is like that sort of realism, visceral type look, that Dave does, and a lot of the other artists of the like. Carla Ortiz is another one. She's a little bit more, I would say, towards realism, but she's got like lighting and colors down, like nobody's business. Brad Rigney is another one who I really like. These are all like mainstream artists now, but if I was to go to like the classical guys, Frazetta for sure. Frazetta is like Simon Beasley, stuff like that.
That's like a baggage of inspiration. You just gave us your mind map right there. It's so many,
yeah.
Because you gave us so many different names, and I can see a bit of your style on every single person you mentioned. I'm not kidding. It's really uncanny that you were able to compose this whole like inspiration tree, right? And I see everything. So yeah, you're really honest about your job. It's interesting. We are gonna link some of his reference so you guys at home can see for yourself Andy Timm's art and his other artists and vice versa, right? But anyway, I wish to move on here because we have some other questions, and this one about the Hi-Rez folks, because here's a personal story. I know that's a podcast about you, but let's talk about Arthur for a moment here.
I can't give anything away though. Just FYI.
No, don't worry. It's about your art. Yeah, it's not about the game. Don't worry. I don't even play Smite anymore, but like I loved Smite. And one of the things that me and my friends start talking about before I worked for Ren, even Renody, right? I call him Ren. It's our cute nickname. But anyway, yeah, this Smite concept art was freaking amazing, and we thought it was better than League in some cases. And I know that's I already got feeling the commentators telling me to get banned, but yeah, I really enjoyed because you managed to create what you just said before. You took like realistic approaches and proportion to the characters, but added like that spice of cartoonist, right? That spice that made them a bit larger than life, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And because these characters were gods, right? Smite is a game about playing with different mythological gods. If listeners are not aware, right? It made sense because these characters were at the same time human shaped, right? But they are more than human. So anything style was perfect for that game, and it still is because you're still making stuff for them, right?
Yeah, I'm still doing work for Smite, thankfully.
Yeah, let's hope it keeps that way, right? Because
yeah, I hope so too.
yeah, because you managed to. In fact, let me ask this first. When you make the art, do you actually create the character designs, or they hand you something and then you create the concept after the deed is done, right? After the 3D model's ready, you make the art, or it was the other way around?
Well, for concept, it really depends. For concept, if I'm making a new god, then I'm doing it from scratch because there's nothing existing. But if I'm doing a skin, then I have to draw over the base of the original god. And this is because of there's animation restrictions that I need to think about when I'm designing things. So I can't put like a shoulder pad on someone that doesn't have it because they won't have animation support on that, and I would make someone work extra hours doing stuff like that, or a cape, or so that's why I have to draw over the base model when doing skins, so I know what my boundaries are. Unless there are exceptions, they'll say, hey, this one's a T4, so you have some room to play with. You can give them like a cape or a extra shoulder pad or whatever. So in those cases, I still have to stay somewhat on model though, like make sure the arm's the same size, for animation, and it bends at the elbow spot, stuff like that. But for brand new gods, we draw, just willy-nilly with no base model. With the card art, we have a working, model to go off of because we're trying to. It's the card art is like the advertisement. That's like saying like you want to buy this. That's what the card art, essentially is wanting you to do. Like, hey, look how cool this character is. You want to play them or buy the skin. So we have to have the model ready. So we're not like lying about what it looks like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, wait a minute, you drew this guy with like orange hair, but he's got green in the model, so we gotta have things that match.
Before we move on, right? Because you mentioned that sometimes you can create, other times you don't, right? Tell me a god that you created and it's your favorite creation so far. Do you have one?
Probably Cerberus.
Cerberus?
It was actually the last guy I got to design. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with him. It's weird. I actually have a lot of more fun with creatures, and they're actually easier for me to draw than people.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it's like I don't do a lot of them because people are so hard. I want to get better at them. I'm not saying I'm like a creature master, but I don't know. I just want to I want to be able to consistently draw good humans. But Cerberus was a lot of fun.
It's where the money is, right? The humans are good or the board, so I understand your feelings.
Yeah.
Before we move on, because I'm going to be really selfish since I have you here for me.
Sure.
The character Kublai Khan, from the Mayan mythos that's in the game. Sorry, Kublai Khan?
Kukulkan?
No.
The snake, right?
No. I'm confusing my names. I'm sorry. I'm a Latino guy mixing my Mayan gods. I feel so ashamed for myself right now. About the guy who has like the massive doors as weapons. The green guy.
Kabrakan.
Yes, Kabrakan. Yeah, that's why I confused the name. See, it's you.
Yeah.
He's my favorite character. Did you draw it, or did you actually make the character? Or
Oh no, that was originally concepted by Brian Wells, who is another really good concept artist. He was actually there. He was, I think, the second concept artist on Smite. I think the first one was Max Davenport, but he was Brian Wells designed Cabrakan for Smite. I did 2 skins though for Cabrakan.
Which one, so I can get it for my copy?
I did the robot one. I forget what it's called. It's like black and orange, I think. And then I did the Fat Loki Cabrakan skin as well.
Oh yes, I actually was looking for the Fat Loki one. So yeah, now I have to get it. Anyway, that's enough of Smite, okay? It takes you a lot to give this a bit of insight, though. I'm sure the Smite community would love to hear a bit about the process, right? But
sure.
Here's the thing. I know this because I know every single art that's uploaded to Artlords, alright? Every single time someone posts something, I see it. And I know for a fact that you have some original art with original characters, right? They're not the majority of what you post to Artlords or online, right? You usually post your Smite work, your Hi-Rez work, or some pop culture characters, right? And they're great. So much so we are trying to sell some to people because they are that good, and anything is going to be really happy if you do that. But I'm still curious. Do you have time to create original characters? Do you have something in mind with these characters, or please tell us?
I actually don't have a lot of time to create original characters. I think, I mean, I do like it, but I think, the stuff I have most fun drawing is superheroes. I'm not going to lie. I love drawing, like, it's weird. I like drawing stuff that already exists.
Yeah, it's fun.
Like, I like drawing,
no, please.
like Batman or, Wolverine and... or video game characters. I don't know. I'm like a huge fan, I guess.
Yeah, you can see just by seeing the volume of artwork for Andy TImm, it's usually superhero characters. I was just curious because I saw one of another piece that was original from you in the Artlords system, so I was like, that's neat. He doesn't do this much, so that's why I asked it. But it makes sense that you give us this answer, right? Because that's what your job is all about, right?
Yeah, I mean, I do like drawing my own original characters, but I just get inspired by doing fan art. I guess I really love it. I really like doing fan art a lot. Like what I'm working on now for a personal project, I'm a huge fan of the Dark Tower series by Stephen King.
It's great, actually. I love
it.
Too.
I'm actually going through reading it again for I think the 5th time, and I realized I haven't painted any Dark Tower art. So I'm doing a Drew Struzan inspired movie poster for it.
Oh, that's really nice. If you want to contact us to sell it for print for the Dark Tower fans, we'd love to help you with that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Once I get it finished, who knows how long it'll take in my schedule and what I have going on. So it's only in
You do realize by saying this in the podcast, you need to do it, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I definitely. I'm almost done with book 5, and I told myself I have to finish the painting before I finish book 7. So
I see. You're putting some speed limits for your work.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're almost done here. It was a lovely conversation. I would even like to talk more, but our time is limited, so that's kind of sad. But let's end on a high note here.
Yeah.
First do you have a message to the aspiring artists out there?
I would say, don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to redo stuff. It was a big thing before when I would get a critique and I would have to redo a huge chunk of my painting, and it's still something I actually happens to me at work to this day. And I noticed when I go back and have to redo something because of an error I made or whatever, the piece comes out 20 times better, and I learn so much more. So I would say, don't be afraid of getting those constructive critiques, but the ones that you're like, oh, I don't want to do that because it's so much work. Those are that's where the money's at to really help you improve, I guess. Yeah, I would say. And do your studies too. If you're painting a guy with a cape, and you forgot how to paint cloth or whatever, just open up some drapes and do some quick studies. Doesn't have to be perfect, but just so you know how the material works and whatnot.
Adding to sorry, I cut you off there. Please continue.
Oh, I said I'm terrible at articulating, but yeah.
No, actually, I think you did a great job articulating, and I'm gonna add to the sentiment, right? if you are a new artist or starting to be an artist, right, fledgling artist, like we call it, don't be afraid to contact with Artlords, because we can put you in touch with some veteran artists, right? And they're gonna love to, if they can help, they're gonna help you, right? We have their emails, we can't bother them. I managed to get anything in this podcast, didn't I? So, so I can help you direct your questions to someone that might have an answer to them, right? Because the Artlords project is about the artists, all right? It's about making sure you guys are getting paid, getting the love and respect you have, because we digital art lords everywhere now, right? Everyone is doing like superhero fan art. You can see it everywhere, right?
Oh yeah.
Andy is special. You can see he loves what he say. When he tells you that he loves drawing superheroes, it's not just because he loves the paycheck. Or maybe it is. Whatever, if it's that's not the relevant thing. The relevant thing is the art he does is hard work. It's great, and you can see it. We have several other links we're gonna put in the description about his process. We have like one of Deadpool, Mad Max crossover, right, where he goes in detail, the step by step, and you can see it's by someone who gives a damn. And this is, yeah, it is, and that's important for a newcomer. You cannot just try to emulate what's popular. You need to feel it in your bones and work hard, and that's what Andy does. So even if it's popular, even if he's chasing the views, right? He's not doing that, in a manner that's dishonest. It's just the opposite. It's the most honest thing he can do, right? That's why he mentioned the Dark Tower just now. It's something that touches him. Yeah, it's popular. It's a popular thing. Yeah, but he loves that thing, right? He's just rereading the series, and that's inspiring him to do another painting. And I feel that newcomers who wants to make, like, I want followers, right? So I need to draw. It's popular. Try to connect, to find the popular thing that speaks to you, right? And pursue that first.
Yeah, sure. I mean, also, it doesn't have to be a popular piece. I mean, that will certainly get you hits, but just something that makes you excited to draw, like whatever you get excited to create, because I think some of your best work will come of something that you're extremely passionate about, and that you would do regardless whether or not you would get paid. I think those are going to be like your best pieces that you create.
And you can always use that to sell your work to Hi-Rez and other companies, right? You can say, hey, look at this awesome thing I did, right? That's how probably you got the job, right? You did some awesome work, and you say, hey, this Andy thing has something going on there, right?
Yeah, to a degree. Yeah, they saw my, the heck was it, Rise of Mythos work. I was freelancing for Rise of Mythos for about almost a year, and that game was specifically to design mythological gods. So I did about 50 of them, and Hi-Rez found out about that, and since I designed over 50 mythological gods and illustrated them, they're like, well, this guy seems like he's right up our alley. So.
This guy was born to work on Smite. Anyway, we are closing in. So, any last words, Andy?
Stay positive. It's a crazy world. Just stay positive and be nice. I don't know. There's not enough nice people out there. Be more nice.
I love that message. Be nice. I'll try to be nicer with you in the future too, Andy. And finally, if you want to help Tim keep doing his awesome job, if you want to help to motivate Tim to finish that damn Dark Tower piece, please buy his prints. Not only they look awesome and it's the work from a pro artist, it's gonna motivate him to do more. And by doing more, there's more stuff for you to buy through. So everyone wins, right? The artists love it. You have an awesome piece of art on your room, right? And Artlords get the funding to get more people here and talk about the work. So it's a process that's all win-win. So yeah, please do that. Please support editing.
Yes.
And that's it, folks. We'll see you on our next podcast. The next time we are doing this, I have no idea. The other artists need to reply to me. If you are an artist and you want your print on Artlords, please contact us with the email below. And if you want to come to our podcast and talk about your stuff, I'm making an open mic here. It's an open invitation. You want to be heard, I want to listen to you. This is Arthur De Martino, Andy TImm, signing out.